the whisper of Tik-Tik behind you. My name is Lynn Aristow, and I'm 28 years old, a freelance photographer specializing in documentary shots. My life has always been about wandering from one city to another, camera in hand, capturing the raw moments of urban existence, the hustle of street vendors, the quiet despair of the homeless, the vibrant chaos of festivals. I've never been one for roots or nostalgia. The past is just faded film in my mind, but everything changed when my father passed away last month, in 2025, from a sudden heart attack. In his will, he left me our old family house in Lamosa, a tiny, isolated town nestled against the edge of a dense forest in the northern hills. It was the only asset we had left, and he wanted me to go back, clean it up, and sell it. I figured it would be a quick trip, a few days, at most, then I'd return to the city and leave that chapter behind forever. Lamosa was where I was born and raised until I was 13, when my mother vanished without a trace. My father whisked me away after that, and we never spoke of it again. Now, as I sit here in this dim room, scribbling these words by candlelight, with the wind howling outside, I realize how wrong I was. Lamosa isn't a place you just visit and forget, and the Tik-Tik, it's not just a legend. The drive into Lamosa was exactly as I remembered, a winding, narrow road, flanked by towering trees, their branches scratching at the sky like skeletal fingers. It was a late afternoon in December, the sky a dull grey, and fog was already rolling in from the hills, wrapping everything in a hazy veil. I rented a car from the city, and the radio played upbeat pop songs to cut through the solitude. Lamosa emerged after the final bend, a small town with fewer than 1,000 souls, houses mostly made of weathered wood with patchy tile roofs. The main road was the only way in or out, snaking through the hills, and if a storm hit, fallen trees could seal it off for days. The town was infamous for its frequent blackouts, especially at night, thanks to an outdated power grid and the forest's tendency to topple poles. People here lived simply, relying on farming or the occasional forest tour, though few dared venture deep into the woods. I pulled up to our old house on the town's edge, right where the backyard met the forest. It was a 2-story wooden structure, creaky and forgotten, with an overgrown yard leading straight into the trees. The front door groaned as I pushed it open, releasing a puff of musty air that made me cough. Inside, dust coated everything like a grey shroud. The old sofa, the cracked wooden table, family photos hanging crooked on the walls. I dropped my backpack on the floor and sighed. Just a few days, I told myself, sort, pack, sell, and go. That first evening, I started cleaning the living room slowly. The town was eerily quiet. No traffic noise like in the city, just the whisper of wind through the trees and distant insect chirps. I turned on the radio for some news, but the signal was weak, so I switched to my phone's playlist soft acoustic tunes to fill the void. I sorted through items, deciding what to keep or sell. Around 10 p.m., the lights flickered and died. Blackout typical for Lamosa, I thought. I grabbed my flashlight from the backpack and swept its beam around the room, illuminating the shadows. Outside the window, the fog was thick, obscuring the path, with the forest reduced to vague, dark shapes. I sat on the worn sofa, jotting notes in my journal. Fixed the roof leak, cleaned the kitchen, checked the basement. That's when I first heard it. Tik-Tik. It came from afar, like a light tapping, perhaps branches hitting the roof or rain pattering. I dismissed it as wind and kept writing. The sound repeated a few times, then faded. I turned off the flashlight to save batteries and drifted into an uneasy sleep. The next morning, weak sunlight filtered through the fog. I decided to explore the town again, camera slung around my neck. I snapped shots of the quaint wooden homes, the dirt roads, locals tending fields. They eyed me curiously. Some recognized me, Aristow's daughter, all grown up now. I smiled politely, but felt a twinge of unease. At the small market, I bought bread, vegetables, and extra candles. An old woman at the stall asked, "Back to clean the house? Be careful at night, the forest has strange sounds." I chuckled, assuming she was joking. Lamosa had a dark history, a string of pregnant women vanishing in the 1980s, and locals whispered about a creature called Tik-Tik. The legend said, if the Tik-Tik sounded close, it was far away, lulling you into safety. But if it grew distant, it was right behind you. Pray then. I wasn't superstitious. I'm grounded in reality, facts, and photos. But the woman was earnest. This town has a past. Don't wander into the woods alone. Back home, Mrs. Lira knocked on the door, the only neighbor still alive nearby. She was about 70, with silver hair and cloudy eyes, carrying a basket of homemade bread and fruit. "Lynn, you've grown so much. I'm sorry about your father. He was a good man. Her voice trembled with age. We sat in the living room, sipping herbal tea from forest leaves. She asked about my city life, photography gigs, travels for documentaries on urban poverty or street art. I shared enthusiastically. She felt like a remnant of my childhood, the one who'd tell me bedtime stories. Then she asked suddenly, "Heard anything odd last night?" I shook my head, but she stared out the window, lost in thought. This town, it's the same as always. Fog thick, forest calling. Be careful, especially at night. If you hear Tik-Tik, stay inside. Close means it's far, but distant. It's right behind you. I smiled, thinking it was folklore to scare kids, but she gripped my hand. I was the last to hear it the night your mother vanished. It echoed from the woods, faint. But come morning, she was gone. Police searched, found nothing. Her words chilled me, but I brushed it off. My mother probably had an accident, lost in the forest. That afternoon, I kept cleaning but took a walk to photograph more. Lamosa had a wild beauty. Lush forest with golden leaves, fog drifting like a dream, houses frozen in time. At the town's only cafe, a rustic spot with rough wooden tables, I met Matteo Delise. He was 26, a former forest rescue worker, now retired for health reasons. We chatted over black coffee. "You're Lin Aristeo," Mrs. Lira mentioned, "here to sort the house." He had a deep voice. I nodded, explaining the sale. He smirked. "That place on the forest edge, ... risky. The woods aren't for playing." I pressed why. He evaded just. "Wild animals, easy to get lost." When I mentioned my mother, he looked away, as if hiding something. "Don't know much." The following days passed routinely, at least during daylight. Matteo came over, and we tackled the living room, kitchen, and upstairs. He was strong, hauling heavy boxes effortlessly, and we bantered about old relics. My childhood doll, my father's books. "This town's peaceful, but nights change it," he said once during a break. I asked about Tik-Tik. He forced a laugh. "Old wives' tales to frighten kids, but there are real odd noises. Tik-Tik, like claw taps. They say it tricks your ears. Close means far, far means close." I teased him for being superstitious, but he grew serious. "Your mom, she survived an encounter once, or so they say. Pregnant with you, but escaped." His words intrigued and unnerved me. Nights brought more blackouts. I'd light candles and flashlight, lying in my old bed, wind whistling through cracks. The Tik-Tik returned, clearer, echoing from the roof but distant, rhythmic. I chalked it up to rodents or gusts, pulling the blanket over and sleeping fitfully, dreaming of woods and a voice calling my name. On the third night, things turned bizarre. I woke at midnight to a blackout. The room was pitch black, save for faint moonlight through the window, twisting shadows into grotesque forms. I sat up, grabbed the flashlight batteries low, beam flickering. Then, Tik-Tik, closer this time, from the ceiling, steady like a heartbeat. I scanned the room, nothing amiss, just dust and furniture. But when I switched off the light, a silhouette appeared at the window, a hunched figure pressing against the glass, face blurred in fog, yet no reflection on the pane. My heart pounded, adrenaline surging. I flicked the light back on, aiming at the window. Gone, like it never was. Fatigue-induced hallucination, or tree shadows, I rationalized. Sleep evaded me, replaced by wind and growing dread. Next morning, I told Matteo as he helped with the basement. He paled, pausing his dusting. "You heard Tik-Tik. Don't joke." "That's no joke." We sat elaborated on the legend. Tik-Tik, a forest entity, humanoid with long claws and red eyes, preying on women tied to past disappearances. Its sound deceives. Close lulls you. Distant means it's upon you. I laughed it off as horror movie fodder, but he shook his head. "I've rescued in those woods, seen weird tracks, and your mom, the only survivor from her youth attack. Rumors say she's connected to it." That piqued my curiosity, but fear too. That evening, I rummaged through my father's old files in the basement. The space was dank, spiderwebs everywhere, flashlight beam cutting through gloom. Found a cardboard box, police report on mom, missing December 15th, 2010, no traces. Witnesses heard Tik-Tik from woods, odd detail, attacked in 1997 while pregnant with me, claw marks on arm, but survived and clammed up. I phoned Mrs. Lira late, probing. She hesitated. "Your mum heard the distant Tik-Tik, but ran into the forest instead of away. Morning, vanished. Cops called it accident, but I know something's off." A shiver ran down my spine. like eyes on me. That night, blackout hit early, 8 p.m. I lit candles around the room, lay with my journal. Tik-Tik echoed, fading distant from deep woods. Weak, but a soft breath brushed my neck. Icy. I spun. Nothing, just shadows. Window rustled, a long hand scraped the edge, black claws gliding like a caress. I screamed, leaped from bed, grabbed a kitchen knife. Sound stopped, but the silhouette lingered at the window, hunched, no reflection. I barricaded in the kitchen, heart racing like drums. From then, it escalated horrifically. Days, I feigned calm, cleaning with Matteo. He visited more, concerned. We walked forest edge once. He pointed an ancient tree. Found weird prints here in the 80s. Pregnant women gone without trace. I photographed it, but camera glitched. Batteries drained fast. Photos blurred with shadowy figures in fog. Mrs. Lira visited with soup. You look worn. Don't stay long, Lynn. This town swallows people, she added. Your mum told me about Tik-Tik. Not one, but two kinds. Female protects, male hunts. Why? She shrugged. Family secrets. Don't dig. I didn't listen. Dug deeper. In basement. Found Mom's diary, hidden in an old box. Elegant, trembling script. Tik-Tik returns. Not one, but two. One hunts me from long ago. The other ... part of me. Must hide to protect Lynn. Heart pounding, sweat beading. What did she know? Was she alive? The thought haunted. That night, blackout lasted hours. Tik-Tik boomed close from ceiling. But at window, a shape slithered low, near bed tall, clawed. I fled room. Phoned Matteo, signal spotty. He banged door. Lynn, open. In kitchen, he confessed. Your mom's not dead. Turned Tik-Tik after attack, but retained humanity. She shadows to shield you from the Maltha once stalking her years. I half believed, evidence mounting. My photos showed mom-like shapes in mist. Was Tik-Tik protection or pursuit? I resolved to enter woods for truth. Matteo protesting. Late afternoon, fog dense. Tik-Tik faded, distant meaning close. I ran, he pursued. A towering black form emerged, red eyes, claws reaching. Then Tik-Tik thundered close, deafening. Another shape calmly plunged, shoving it away. I fell, woke in house with Matteo, nearly died. That's the hunter. Your mom saved you. Now, I write this in the dark house, awaiting night. Haven't sold, haven't left. Tik-Tik sounds close or far. Unsure, maybe mom protects, or draws me to her fate. Shadow at window hunches. No reflection. If you read this, avoid Lamosa, and if Tik-Tik fades distant, ... pray, it's right behind you.